I'm going to go over a case study of a property we flipped in Marcus Hook, PA, and the thought process of how we were going to exit it, as well as the best exit strategy. I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'm going to give you the different exits I had internally, and then I share it with my sales team of what the best approach would work and make sense. This deal is a single. It is not a double, triple, or home run. It is one of those deals that you can say it was a good deal, we made money, let's move on. You need a lot of singles in this business to eventually get home runs, build confidence, and learn from your mistakes or from your small profits to gain the doubles and triples. If you can kick out a lot of singles like this deal, you're going to build a lot of momentum down the road. And this example will hopefully give you the ideas of strategizing and figuring out the time associated with the strategy. Now, let me tell you the seller's situation, and this is where we fine-tuned our strategy based on what the seller was willing to do and what worked for him and us. He was living in the home. Well, first, he found us on a TV commercial we did, called in our inbound service. We answered it. He was moving to Ohio and wanted to leave in a short window of time. However, he knew the home's value and wasn't giving up any real crazy equity. He was going to price it based on what he thought it was, and it was a fair number that he wanted, which was $96,000. On our end, we needed to say, he wants $96,000. Let's reconfirm the home is in the shape that he says it's in. We go out there, properties, and maybe paint some accent walls, change the hardware, update a couple flooring, clean up the outside, but it was clean, all right? So he was leaving equity on the table, and it worked for both parties. So what we did was, we looked at it in these 4 different ways. Could we buy it, rehab it, rent it out, and refinance it? Based on what he wanted and what we would get back from the bank, the BRRRR strategy just wouldn't work because we leaned on, could we BRRRR it? And we couldn't do it, which is out. The next thing was a novation agreement. The seller was definitely cool enough to do a novation agreement. We had a great rapport with the guy, but it just didn't work because for us to sell it to a third party, renovating the home, he needed money in the next 30 days to make it work. And he didn't need like 10, 20 grand, he needed a decent amount. So novation was, let's just say, 1X, because this will give you an idea where, how do you package a novation agreement, but frame it in a different way? Could we assign the deal? There wasn't enough margin to assign it to another end buyer, because the issue would be if you try to put 5 to 10 grand on it, it wasn't enough meat on the bone for the buyer. These are the situations where you have to take it down because the profit was only $20,000. If you assign it, you're just trimming out the end buyers. Being a wholesaler only is not going to work. You have to invest in these deals because there's just some deals that you just can't assign. Still good deals. This was out of the question, couldn't do it. A wholesale, which would be, it's a property which needs very minimal work. You update it and put it back on the MLS. And this is what this checkbox was. However, how do you wholesale it and make it make sense where you're not coming out of the table, come to the table with a ton of cash? Now, what we did was the seller agreed to $96,000, but what we did with the $96,000, we broke it out in 2 parts. We told him, we'll give you 66 at the first closing, and then the second closing, the remaining 30K, we'll pay you. In addition to it, we will give you $2,000 per month in payments, which in this case, we actually gave him $4,000, okay? Now let's go back up. We bought this home April 7th. We sold it June 24th. It was a total of 11 weeks, 78 total days, which means we only had to pay him out 2 times the $2,000. For us, we were 70 grand, 70K out of pocket. The renovation, utilities, the all-in expenses was another 6K. So we were 76K all in on the front end. On the back end, we received roughly $130,000 you'll see on the HUD back at closing. The purchase on the original HUD you will see was $100,000. roughly $100,000 all in. Inside the $100,000, the seller's remaining $26,000 paid off is inside this number. So this is the original purchase, final net to us, okay? Of this final net, there was the renovation cost and then anything we had to cover. Between these two, we were $8,000 all in. Of the $8,000, you subtract it by 30,000 and you come out to a $22,000 profit in 78 days. Now, if I didn't lose you yet, we have $76,000 that we paid on the front end, $8,000 that we had to cover on the renovation and all the overage charges like the electric bills and things like that. $84,000. We had to put 84 grand up to make $22,000. You run the percentage on it, the ROI is extremely healthy on this exit strategy. Anybody would take $22,000 in profit in 11 weeks. To go back to the exit, determine these things. The BRRRR strategy would have been amazing because this home was done. There would be no renovation costs, believe me. However, the ARV didn't work to refinance all your money out. It did work from a DSCR standpoint, but it didn't work from the overall value of the home in the area versus what the purchase price was. The novation agreement would partially work. However, the seller needed money down. In a novation, you're not typically exchanging any cash. You're just giving them a third-party buyer because you found them at the condition it was in. It was partially a novation, but it wasn't a true novation. Assignment, you couldn't assign it because there was no money on it for the assignment. And then a wholesale was the best way to package it, but you need to come to an agreement with the seller where to make the numbers work mathematically, I didn't want to give him $96,000. He owned the property free and clear, so we were going to break it out into two different ways by giving him a promissory note on holding this debt, okay? Come to the table here. He's in a first position lien holder for his $30,000 in debt, which will pay him $2,000 per month. And then when we sell it on the final HUD, he will get paid the remaining balance, $26,000. This is how we construct this deal and how we made it work. But if you evaluate your exits with time, it'll help bring together which strategy can work and for yourself, someone else. And 11 weeks, there's 11 weeks that I have not assigned deals sometimes. Looking at the time on this thing, this was extremely quick and it was efficient. But like and subscribe. If you see value, please share it with other people. Any topics, things that you want me to go over, I'd love to share and give you some feedback.